Saudi Arabia is leading those countries in the military exercise. Here's a map of those participating. They include Arab countries as well as nations in Africa and South and East Asia. For more on the drills and their significance, we're joined by James Smith. He was U.S. Ambassador to Saudi Arabia from 2009 to 2013. He also served in the U.S. Air Force. Thank you so much for joining us, Ambassador. What is your take on this massive military exercise, given the level of cooperation that we're seeing and the countries involved?
Well, first of all, coalition operations are the most complicated thing you'll do in the military, because when you get soldiers, sailors, and airmen from 20 different countries in the same patch of space, it requires an immense amount of planning. So this suggests to me that the planning for this has been going on for some time. But whenever you have a large military exercise, and this is the largest in the region's history, there is a military and a political dimension to it. The military dimension is to improve combat capability for the individual soldiers, sailors, and airmen, for the units that are deployed, but most importantly, among the nations deployed, building trust, understanding each other's capabilities, and being able to operate together with the same rules of engagement and the same practices. On a political side, you're sending a message that the Arab nations are coming together to form an entity to counter what they perceive as Iranian instability in the region. And Saudi Arabia is showing itself to be someone capable of pulling all of this capability together. So it sends a very important deterrent signal.
You were U.S. Ambassador to Saudi Arabia. Talk to us about what has been going on behind the scenes, because as you mentioned, what's happening in the region can't be ignored, even though this has probably been planned for quite some time. Is Saudi Arabia preparing to take an even bigger leadership role in the region?
Well, clearly they have had a more active foreign or regional policy than they did in the past. And part of this is a perception on their part about the U.S. pulling back. In reality, the Saudis will argue that they're surrounded by Iranian instability. In Yemen, they do not want to see Yemen become a Lebanon on their southern border, with the Houthis becoming the Hezbollah to their south. So they're very much concerned with the threat of Iranian instability. And in the face of their perception of the U.S. pulling back, they clearly have stepped up to fill a leadership role to pull everyone together to counter what they perceived as an Iranian threat.
What about with what's happening in Syria at the moment and what we just saw with Turkey with the bombing there? Do you think that Saudi Arabia could act and join forces to make some moves militarily without U.S. involvement, without Western involvement?
That is a very simple question with a very complicated answer. The challenge, of course, is that politically the Saudis see the problem differently than do the Turks, and certainly different than the Iranians and the Russians. I can see the Saudis mounting capability against ISIS, but no interest in the Kurdish problem, and certainly no interest in propping up Assad. The problem with the military action is not the point of the spear, it's the logistics trail that goes with it. And it's a very difficult problem to do out-of-area operations. So I can see the Saudis supporting with air power. I can see them supporting with soldiers in concert with Jordan or someone else. And relations with Turkey have warmed. I see that as a possibility, but not in a large way that your question suggests.
All right, Ambassador James Smith, we appreciate your perspective. Thank you for joining us.
Great to be with you again.